Hello everyone, I'm Greg Otta with FedScoop TV, and I'm here at the Red Hat Government Symposium today, and I'm talking with Austin Wineholt, the Director of Sales for Emergent. Austin, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So one of the themes of today's symposium is that open source has won at last. Has open source really won at last? What is your perspective on open source in the federal government?
I think it has. I think
Okay.
it has. I don't think today that open source really takes a back seat to proprietary offerings.
Okay.
But I actually think now that it's almost leading the way in innovation. If you look at big innovations like cloud, mobility, Internet of Things, big data, all of these are supported by an open source projects
Okay.
that help fuel the innovation to this. And I think more importantly, open source provides interoperability that allows all different systems to work together with one to really kind of solve a common problem. I think a big, advantage to this, or something that you're seeing now, is Microsoft's recent agreement with Red Hat,
Okay.
where they just recently allowed that all .NET applications be run on Red Hat software,
Interesting. Okay.
and all Red Hat software to now be allowed to run on Microsoft Azure. And this is only a couple months following Microsoft open sourcing .NET. I think you're starting to see maybe a shift from some of the more traditional virtualization technologies into
Okay.
new container technologies.
Right.
Containers allow you to run multiple workloads on a single database or server, whereas virtualization allows you to virtualize a server to create
Right.
multiple operating systems. The container actually really allows you to essentially virtualize the operating system to run those multiple workloads on a single workload. So, I think that Red Hat's done a really good job with partnering with companies like Docker to help standardize the container format, and then also working with Google with Kubernetes to help kind of manage different workloads across different and various environments.
Interesting. So mobile strategies are also pretty big. What technologies and services should agencies consider to adopt?
Well, the recent change in mobility is very exciting. Now, mobile applications are more popular than ever, and kind of the mobile landscape is changing. And companies are starting to kind of get away from traditional, you work at your desk in front of your computer, but it's starting to allow customers to telecommute and
Right.
work from various locations. And even the executive branch released legislation that is promoting telework and mobility. So, I think it's at the forefront, and I think that's really exciting. But, I think the big picture for an agency is if you're going to adopt mobility, you have to do it from an enterprise view rather than just trying to put together piecemeal solutions.
Right.
You have to have an infrastructure that can support and scale with your mobile applications, and I think that is going to be kind of one of the hardest issues. At Emergent, we like to offer the government the best and innovative technologies. And one of those, I think right now, is Red Hat's mobile application platform.
Okay.
And what that really does is it gives developers the ability to develop and manage multiple applications for multiple instances, whether it be Android, iOS, BlackBerry. But then it also allows these disparate data points to connect with reusable back-end services.
Okay.
So I think today when we're talking about DevOps and agility, mobility is at the forefront.
So with the DevOps and agility, another big trend, agile development. It's mentioned all the time, but I'm not really sure that everybody knows what it is. So how do you incorporate the right policy and procedures in time to stay ahead of the changes in technology and user demands?
Right. When I think of Agile, I really think of kind of a business process that is kind of separated into different little intervals.
Right.
Where the business operations team are working together with the IT operations team to really create a product that both can use, and making sure that any changes or unpredictability that comes up is really taken care of when it comes up. It's a much different I guess, looked in the traditional sequential waterfall approach.
Right.
But I think that right now we are in the center of the public sector cultural transformation of that. But I think there still are some barriers. One of the barriers being cultural transformation, like I said, customer engagement, and then also procurement. The cultural transformation, much of the government public sector right now is usually siloed, where a lot of the business operations and the IT
just don't talk to one another.
They just don't work together. And it really almost doesn't really make sense because, why not meet up every 2 weeks, or also known as sprints, but work together so you guys can create the best solution.
Right.
And then another barrier entry, like I said, was customer engagement. I think the customer has to be involved in all aspects of the solution. They can't just give you a piece of paper with requirements on it and say, I want this in 2 years, because things change by then.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, if they're not on top of their needs and what they want, they can't let the IT operations know what to build and how to fix it.
Right.
And then finally, I think procurement is a big issue as well. Procurement wants to know how much it's going to cost and what their solution is going to be. They want to put out a list of requirements 3 years later, and then expect that solution. And by the time that happens, that solution is usually outdated or obsolete. So I think it's definitely exciting, but I think there definitely are some barriers to entry. But I'm hoping that eventually those will be broken down.
Interesting. And when we do see this broken down, we'll have to talk to you again for what's coming in the future.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Austin, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
For all of our videos, you can check out our YouTube channel. And for more information, you can check out fedscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.